First item is our Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Vice Chair, could you read our mission statement?
Marshall Public Schools develops the potential of each learner for success in a changing world.
Thank you. Approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Any additions? Not, please vote. It is approved. Moving to our Tiger Spotlight.
Well, this week actually is School Board Recognition Week, so we have the opportunity to recognize the Marshall Public Schools Board of Education, all these folks sitting up here. It's a recognition opportunity that serves as a reminder of the countless number of hours, the dedication, and the commitment that I think all of our school board members put forth on behalf of our students and staff and parents and community members and just our school district in general and how they serve our district. And I personally would like all of you to know that I notice everything that you do in a positive way for kids and appreciate it very much. And on behalf of everyone in our district, just want to say thank you for serving on the school board. Thank you for all you do, and certainly during this week, just to show our appreciation for you. I think Tricia baked up some special desserts back there, and we also have some certificates that I'd like to give you that say Marshall Public Schools School Board Recognition Week, February 15th through the 19th. And then it says the school board member's name is hereby recognized for dedicated leadership in public education and continued service to the students of this community, presented by myself on behalf of the district. So I'll start with Jeff. Thanks, Jeff. Dion? Thank you for everything you do. Bill's not here, so give that to him. Karen? Cool. Mr. Kovash? And Matt Coleman. We also have two very important school board members who have agreed to serve as student school board members, so we want to include both of you in this. So Monica, thank you for everything that you do, and Faduma.
Thank you. No problem. Thank you.
And then let's have everybody come down in the front, and we'll get a picture, group picture, if you would. You can if you'd like. Yeah.
This is one time I recognize you first.
That's okay.
Public forum. Now is the time for the public to approach the board. Our first presentation, academic support. Welcome.
Mary Kay, would you introduce these folks for us, please?
Marshall Middle School has had academic support in place for, I believe, six years now. Brian has been here the longest, but Brian Bertrand is to my immediate right. And he has, Brian has been with the program for 4 years. Okay, so Brian's been with the program 4 years, and then everyone beside him has joined in the last few years. Paula most recently, but Emily Peters is to Brian's right. She also is cheer coach, dance coach at the high school, and then she does the academic support here at the middle school with specifically the 7th grade this year. Paula Curry joined us in January full-time at academic support 8th grade as Brittany Bayou had left at the holiday break. And then Beth Rolfsema is at the 6th grade academic support, and she joined us a year and a half ago. So this is her 2nd year in the program. And what each one of these instructors do is follow a cohort of students. So they start at the 5th grade typically, and then as their students go to 6th grade and on to 7th grade and on to 8th grade, they follow that cohort of students. And you'll get a much more complete idea of how they select a cohort of students and what those criteria are with a cohort of students for each one of the grade levels, and how they follow those students and what their jobs entail in their PowerPoint. As I mentioned, Brian Bertrand's been with the program for the longest here, and so you'll probably hear the most from him. Paula's been with us for 6 weeks now regularly, but she had definitely done a great deal of substituting over the last year and a half now, Paula, or longer, right in there. But she was definitely a part of relationships with kids, and she's got a proven track record in those areas. Emily, you started a year and a half ago also?
Yep,
Were you
about
there?
last year.
Okay. And then Beth with the year and a half ago also, and they'll talk a little bit about some of that background in the program. So I'll let you have that.
Try to be brief.
And guys, if you could talk into the mic a little bit, so just, you don't have to bend over, just so they pick you up, so.
Can you hear me? Testing. One, two.
Yes.
I'm kind of a ham. I'm the president of our Marshall Area Stage Company, so if I go off a little bit, I talk a lot. So to make it brief, how do we get students in academic support? We talked a little bit about the cohorts already. We select students, we'll go with them year after year. So our whole selection process, we start with the spring results of the MCA in 4th grade, and we have focus on bubble students. For the MCAs, it's 5 above the meets level, and then about 10 below the meets level is kind of our range. You can see it there on the chart in green and yellow is typically what we look for the students. Students below that are usually typically out of our range and focus and usually get other services. White students are students that are above that range between there. We also look at secondary criteria. We have about the first marking period in 5th grade to kind of assess which students should we take, who's in our bubble in this class, and we will use whatever test results we have at that time, which also means the NWA spring results are typically available, and now even the fall results are available for us. It's kind of gotten better over the years, and that bubble is a little bit different. The points are different because of different testing. We kind of set that standard, I think, February of 2014. We investigate to make sure that we're not preempting any other services that are there, like special needs services. Obviously, we want our special ed trained teachers to take that student over us, and any other scheduled conflicts we run into, like a lot of band is during our enrichment time. So, we don't want a conflict with that. We review our pool with the principal and also the counselors at the school to kind of get a higher level insights to, the selection process and any recommendations they have. From there, we are starting to form our cohort, and the way we do it is we're in the classroom from day one. We focus a lot of times on language arts and math because our focus is reading and math. We're in those rooms with the students, and we go to different teachers. We look for interactions with students. Are there students that are looking for help? Are they talking to us? Are we relating well with them? We also make observations about work and organization and those type of things as we're kind of selecting students. And finally, we take suggestions from the teachers and staff. We're part of team meetings and stuff, and you'll find out about our day later. And we want to work with the 5th grade team to figure out what are they seeing of areas of opportunities that might benefit from academic support. So it's kind of a team process in selecting. From there, we will take all the recommendations, observations, suggestions, and we'll put it out with the test results. And I kind of got a sample there of what that might look like. Student 1 is probably going to be too high for our program. Their test scores and everything are pretty up there. Students 2 and 3, student 2 is probably perfect for a bubble. student 3 is close. You know, in some places they're excelling and in some places they're down. So we have to talk more. It doesn't eliminate them from the program, but we would talk more with like the reading teacher with their Ames Web score being 103. We would talk to that reading teacher to see what they think about that. Student 4 would probably be too low for us to take in the program. And that's typically how we go. Once we get to that point, we will select a cohort. It's about 18 students that we have, and we'll recheck all the other services, make sure that if it's an EL student that they're okay with being in our program versus in an EL-centered focus. And then we'll go before the principal and kind of say, here's what we're looking at, and we'll get a final approval. And at that point, we move those kids into our enrichments, and they're in our program. So that's basically, in a nutshell, how we select students.
Do you talk to the parents as well?
Yeah, we send home letters and communications. We end up talking with a lot of parents through the program and stuff. But our whole selection process, normally we select beforehand, and then we contact the parents afterwards. And kind of
They have
talk
final
with them. I mean, we've never really had, I don't think, where we've had any issue with parents not wanting their kid getting help. And typically this is an enrichment time, which normally it's with students, and a lot of times we're in the normal classroom. So it's not like we're doing a whole lot of pull-outs besides the enrichments and after school. We'll get more of what we do in a day. And I'll turn it over to them.
Hi, I'm Emily Peters. I work with the 7th grade cohorts for academic support, and I'm just going to give you a little rundown of what we do in a day. So we have a few components that make up a day in the life of academic support. The one that takes up the majority of our day is attending the 3 core blocks. We primarily go to language arts and math classes, and the schedules vary depending on our student needs. In the class, while we're in the class, we first and foremost are making sure our students are paying attention. We're there to answer any questions, just to be hands-on with our students, making sure they're taking notes. I know I myself fill out a planner to make sure that I have resources available if a student is absent or if they just don't get the correct information. We want to make sure that they have all the resources needed to be successful in the classroom. The next part of our day is our enrichment time. We have an hour block throughout the day, which is broken into 2 half-hour blocks where we have our students come to our room. This is a time when typically we do reteaching of concepts, going over in a more thorough way to go over whether it be what they did that day or a week prior, just making sure that they are fully understanding the concepts learned in class and they are rushing through assignments and it going in one ear and out the other. Also in this time, it's great for us to have one-on-ones with our students, just checking in, seeing how they're doing, where are they missing assignments, what tests do they need to make up, so we can best help them to get caught up or stay on top of everything that they're doing in the classroom. Once a week, each of us meets with our team meeting or with our grade level teams. This is a great place for us to stay in the know with our grade level, whether it be schedule changes or upcoming events within the grade, so we can be a resource to our students if they have questions on what's going on or if they missed something, we are in the know. Also during the staff meetings, it's a great place for us to advocate for our students. If we're seeing our students are falling behind or they need specific strategies, we can advocate for that with their core teachers. Also a time when we're talking about student concerns, if we need to have notified parents, it's a great time for me to learn that so I can notify parents and make sure we're all on the same page. We have consistency from school to home life as well. The last component of our days, Tuesday and Thursday, we have after school program, which goes until 5 o'clock. We start off with having a snack out by the front doors here, and then we go up to the media center, and typically it's a homework help time to make sure that these students are staying up with their assignments. Also times for us to help assist them with their test taking if they need extra time to get those tests done because they aren't having sufficient time in the classroom. Other than that, after school, we sometimes do group activities that build social skills as well as working in groups and that sort of thing. So throughout the day, the one consistent theme, every aspect of our day is making sure our student needs are being met. whether that be in the classroom, having us there, or after school, being a resource to make sure that they are successful in the classroom. So that's what we do in a day. So hand it over to them.
How many students do you guys have?
Typically the floor is 18, depending on if the kids are moving and different things. We've had as low, I think it's 12 students in a cohort by like 7th or 8th grade. So we typically work with those couple kids in there. Now when we're in the classroom, we help every student. I mean, we're there kind of assisting with it, but in a typical time frame, those are our priority students. We're trying to make a difference in those bubble kids.
Hi, I'm Beth Rosma, and this is my second year with academic support, as Mary Kay said. And I work with the 6th graders, and I'm here to tell you about what we do makes a difference for these kids. The first thing that we do is we build student connections, and I think everybody's touched on that a little bit. But I started working with a student last year in the 5th grade at the request of several of her teachers who said she was just simply falling between the cracks. She's a model student in every way, homework done, well-behaved in class, pays attention, did all of that, but she never asked questions. She wasn't getting the content of what was being taught, and the teachers didn't always pick up on that until test time or an assessment time. And so they just said, we feel like we're losing ground with her and her grades were slipping. So they felt academic support would be a great fit for her. So I started working with her, going to her core classes, sitting with her, reviewing material. After a while, we built a relationship and we built a trust. And with that trust, she was able to communicate to me when she wasn't understanding things, and we could go over things. And with that trust and those asking questions, it built her confidence. And when her confidence was built, her grades went up. So that was a great thing. And she ended the school year on a pretty good note. As we started into 6th grade, it was like watching my little turtle go back in a shell. She had new classes, new teachers, new schedule. And she was a little uncomfortable. But the one thing that she did have is academic support. So she had that familiar piece. About 4 weeks into the school year, as things are really ramping up, and there's more homework, there's more things going on, she came to me and she said, will you please come to math class because I'm not getting what we're doing. And I went back to her 5th grade teachers and I said, she found her voice. She got her voice today, and she advocated for herself. And she was able to do that because of the tool we gave her in academic support. It didn't take months down the road for her teachers to notice. It didn't take her grades slipping. She knew what she needed, and she used the resource that we had given her in academic support to seek help. So I thought that was really neat. So what we do with the student connections and the consistency of staying with our cohort is really important. Our rooms are a home base, sort of a living room. I have one student who comes in pretty consistently and kicks off his shoes, just kind of like he got home at night. So I know our kids have a comfort level in our rooms, and that just shows we have a kind of a family type atmosphere. So we're definitely a home base for our kids. Sometimes the best way that I can describe my job, and I do describe my job here at Marshall Middle School, as school mom. Not to step on the toes of any parents or minimize their importance. But we spend a lot of the day with our kids. We're in their core classes. They come to us for enrichment. We see them at lunch. We're out at recess with them. They come to us after school. Sometimes we attend their activities, and even we see them all the time. So we really, really get to know our kids. And I was trying to think of one story that really just put this together and put it into focus, what that meant for me, but it was all the things. It was knowing that one of my students, his brain works so fast that writing down math problems is a huge problem for him. He gets lost in the middle of a problem, and he doesn't know where he's at because his mind's already computed beyond that. So knowing that he needs graph paper, knowing that he needs to slow down the work, recognizing that that's an issue for him and talking to him and problem solving. Working with another student on studying, came to realize that every time there was a picture involved, he got it. He had it right now. He had the answer. So knowing that he needs to have visuals and images into his study is very helpful to him. So it's knowing that. I have one student who is masterful, and I will say masterful at procrastination. And so knowing anytime we have a project or an essay coming up, he needs somebody in there, getting him rolling, organizing his work, helping him to make the right steps to stay on track and not fall behind. So it's a whole bunch of those things all put together that make you feel like school mom throughout the day. And then, very importantly, we advocate for our students. One of my students struggled in the 5th grade. With the organization of 5th grade and coming into middle school. Having a locker, changing classes were all big challenges for him. And we had to do a lot of hand-holding with him between his teachers and myself. It just took a lot of adjusting to get him through 5th grade with a lot of our support. Going into 6th grade, I saw some of the same problems coming up all over again. He had frequent tardies, he had missing assignments, he was constantly leaving things behind in other rooms. So one of the things that I advocated for him was a change in his advisory. We moved his advisory from outside the 6th grade wing to inside the 6th grade wing, eliminating just space that he had to travel during the day. We matched him up. His advisory was also one of his core teachers, so therefore he didn't have to leave the room during that period of time between advisory and his next block. And she was also an advisory teacher who focused on organization as part of her advisory time, so he got that extra help there too. We took his schedule that was here for him, and we put it like this. And just by minimizing that and by making those few changes, it put it in his hands as something that he could handle during the day. So advocating those little changes because we know our students so well, that's just another advantage for them. I can tell you truly this program makes an absolute difference for these kids. They feel a connection and they feel valued and they have the resources they need to get the help they need. So next I'll hand it over to Paula Curry.
Thank you. Again, my name is Paula Curry, and I am the newest member of the academic support team. I took over in January following semester break when Brittany Bayuk left. Some of the things that maybe have made the transition a little bit easier for me, as previously mentioned, I came out of retirement and I've been substituting as a paraprofessional for the last couple of years for the schools and have loved it. So that's made it easier. I was very familiar with the Marshall Middle School building, number of staff, administration, and a bunch of the kids, which makes it much easier as far as transitioning. I also had the opportunity to shadow Brittany Bayuk before she left and met the 8th grade cohort group. Had a chance to visit with them a little bit. They thought they were being evaluated, which was kind of funny. I was actually being evaluated. And so that was helpful. Brittany was able to give me some insight on, the different personalities of the kids, how they interact with each other, how they do in the classroom, and strengths and weaknesses and some of the things to watch for there and give me some direction. There's also really good in-house records that I've taken advantage of so I can tell where the kids are at from the beginning of the school year up until now as far as assignments, what's missing, what's not. And a lot of it is just kind of rolling with it and learning as I go. And obviously I'm working with a terrific bunch of people, so I just feel really privileged and blessed to be a part of this team, and I'm enjoying myself very much.
We had any kids is this the first 8th grade year? So if we had any kids that have gone on to the high school?
This would be the first.
So we have, and I'll get into that next.
Okay.
That's okay. So the next thing is the data, which is wonderful, and I'll kind of talk about the pitfalls and talk about that as well. So data. What I have up here is all MCA based right now. We do want to do NWEAs too, and we want to measure it fall to spring. There's a couple of years in middle school here that we didn't do that fall test, so we can't have a good measurement each one. What you're seeing on the graphs up there is the baseline, the level line is MCA meets for that year. Right there is the 4th grade reading, and below it is the 4th grade math. I broke up the data. What I want to talk about is the different waves of that. The first group from 6 years ago are now in 10th grade and 9th grade. You can see it on the chart there. That group predates my time. I'm not exactly sure how the enrichments, how much consistency those cohorts are. So that data is in red for me because it's not something we actually know how much. At that point, too, our program only went to 6th grade. We didn't go all the way up to 7th and 8th. This 8th grade class in 2020 is the first class that has had academic support since 5th grade going all the way up. And the 7th grade class will as well. The only thing with that is it's had 3 different people with our turnover and stuff in that role. So that connection piece is there, but a little watered down. So the best data, which is newer, is our green data. And that's the selection, that group that I have right now in 5th grade and best 6th grade results. But the reason I put it in here this way is because I want to show this in years to come. What we do is we have that selection pool, and the kids that we don't select, we're able to kind of measure against to see effectiveness within our program versus maybe effectiveness without. And that's kind of a good measure to be able to do that. The green data is where that's solid. Now, I made what I call similar pools. It's not quite the selection pools, but based on the range of students we selected in those cohorts, we kind of put similar ones in there. It's not great data, but it's okay. It gives you kind of a feel for it. I have it for each grade level going on. These are averages of MCA scores for the cohorts for the similarity, so we can see that kind of growth. We want them to grow, each year, obviously. And so when you're looking at it, you can kind of see that projection as you go year to year. Like I said, the green one's newer, so we don't have that 6th grade year. And that's really in the years to come what we want to be able to show and bring back, is to show that good data to see that comparison. So does that answer the question that I had?
It does. But I did have a follow-up question on that too. So that first year, like the red cohorts,
yes.
Did they go on to the academy then once they got to the high school?
Not necessarily. We have a lot of different criteria in the academy as well as in this cohort. So not necessarily.
You said you had the same kids all 4 years once they did. And is there ever a kid that will move out of it that they don't need the support anymore, and other kids that will move in, or do you keep it?
We haven't had it where anybody's been substantially above the. Let me go back a slide. I'll show you. So in that green area, what we're selecting there for like the reading, you're getting on average 3.9 below in class of 2020. So to get way above means, I mean, our bubble level goes 5 above. So you'd almost have somebody getting up closer to exceed. And we haven't had that far. Some of the part of the selection criteria why we slimmed that pool down was we'd get kids that cross over into special needs. Now, none of those averages are in there for the 10th grade and 9th grade because they take a different test. And that to try to average that out and to do it, it's not good data. So what we're basically seeing is that if somebody is to a certain level, they're getting services through IEPs, through special needs. And we're really focusing on those bubble kids, the kids that what we've seen research show is that if you're working with kids within this range, you're going to have the most substantial growth. So hopefully that will become a problem for us. We just haven't seen that so far yet. That I'll leave you with a wonderful quote from our 6th grade teacher, very nice about us. So, thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Good job. Thank you.
I just want to emphasize to all of you that all 4 of these people are academic support. However, it does not mean that they're licensed staff. I don't think that anyone would ever know that because they are completely teachers in every way, shape, and form. And I know that each one of our academic support cohorts so much appreciate and value what they do for them every single day in their classrooms. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to our consent agenda. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second? Any questions? Hearing none, please vote. It is approved. Moving on to our financials.
All right, the bills for the period January-February by fund category are as follows. The general fund, $1,281,993. Food service fund, $278,825.40. The transportation fund, $139,360.01. Community services fund, $334,572.87. Capital outlay fund, $142,949.48. Construction fund, $138,887.43. And our student entrepreneurial fund, $396.43. That makes a grand total of $2,316,984.62, and I would recommend approval of our claims for the period January-February, Mr. Chair.
Motion to approve. Do we have a second? Any questions?
I would just make one comment in regards to the transportation bill. Over the past couple of months, we have had a clause in our contract for a long, long time in regards to we pay over a certain amount any increase in the cost of diesel fuel. And, well, probably for about the last 8-9 years, we've always been paying extra because Southwest Coaches is purchasing it at a higher rate. Well, the last couple months, we've had bills where we've actually gotten a credit because the price of the diesel fuel has gone below that benchmark number. So that kind of shows what's happening in the whole oil and gas industry at this point in time.
Very good. Call a vote, please. It's approved. On the financials.
Just in the 3-year comparison summary, looking at under the general fund for expenditures, we're basically right on as compared to the previous 2 years. As far as year-to-date, we had 48% of our general fund budget spent in 2014, 49% in 2015, and the same 49% for fiscal year 15-16, 49%. In some of the other categories, transportation fund is basically about the same as previous years. On the revenue side, under our general fund revenue received so far year to date, we had in 2014 47% received. Last year it was 46%. This year it's 45%, and the basic change there, as I can figure out, is because we have not received a whole lot of our special education aid yet at this point, because I do believe because of the new funding system, I don't know if the Minnesota Department of Education is quite comfortable yet on sending out the money the way they should be sending it out on a more timely basis. But that's all I have to report. Does anybody have any other questions in regards to the financial statements?
Thank you very much. Board forum. Anybody would like to bring anything up?
A comment from Community Services. I was at the meeting a couple weeks ago, and just for your information, they're calling this summer the Super Summer. They're trying to get activities to keep the kids busy from the middle of May to the end of August. So they're putting together some more programs. They hope everything used to be done by the 1st of August, but now they're trying to put some more programs together for kids through August to keep them busy.
That'd be great.
We'll be open earlier and stay open later. So.
I would add that we created a school board goals timeline, if you will, that breaks down each of the school board goals into actionable items, and in many cases assigns either a person or the entire school board for some responsibility. Dion, you're on there. I just want to let you know that Tricia chose you as the legislative person. So, right? Or yeah, I think it was Tricia anyways. So that's something that we'd welcome feedback from you on, and if you think that it needs to be revised, tweaked, updated, whatever, we certainly can do that, but felt like it would be sort of a good progress check each month for the board to report back on their goals and make sure that things are on track. So, and I believe that they are. If you look, there's several things on there, including a meeting tomorrow with legislators that were identified as things that you wanted to have happen. So there are some things happening, but this, I think, can help you stay on track relative to making sure that those goals and everything that's a part of them gets accomplished. So we'll continue to add that monthly, and if you have any feedback or suggestions, let Tricia or I know.
Good.
And our facilities committee met this morning at 7 a.m.
A little early, Karen? Or?
We just kind of reviewed some of the soil borings, the things that were done. We talked about some of the mailings that will be going out to the public. Sort of the process. Talked about the resolution we're going to vote on today. Make sure everything's up to date. We're trying to keep hitting the timelines and doing what we need.
Do they know, will they be able to build where they originally thought, or
A couple options.
do they know yet?
We have a couple of options we need to look at. I think probably the location of the new proposed elementary school would be farther west than what we had anticipated, just to stay away from some of the soil borings that were done.
And we did have a meeting this afternoon with ATS&R and Glenn Olson from the city engineer. And we had a discussion in regards to location and traffic flow and so on. And it appears that, yeah, the original location has moved a little bit west, but it looks like it will probably be the recommendation moving forward, where we wouldn't have to relocate the track, that the track would stay there. Of course, the track still is going to need work to be improved, but that's the latest based on the meeting conversation that we had this afternoon.
We had the meeting at Maytech today too. Representative Joe Schumacher came. Is he from south of us?
Laverne.
He wanted to just talk a little bit about how our CNA and welding programs are working with both the community, the school, Midwest, and SMSU. And Diana Anderson from SWIFT was there as well, Southwest Initiative Foundation. It was student-led. Faduma was one of the students, and they all got to talk about their experience. It was very interesting. And Faduma did a really nice job.
And really the uniqueness of the program is that both adults and high school students, and so that was part of the discussion also.
On to our administrator's report.
A couple things I'll try to point out from each of the administrators' reports. Hopefully you had an opportunity to look through them. In my report, certainly an update on student enrollment. I think we were down a few students from at the beginning of February from the beginning of January, but numbers are still, knock on wood, holding strong, and that's a positive thing. I also put some calendar updates in there for 2015-16 due to the weather. Tiffany's report had some interesting information, I thought, on some online parent education courses that she's working on and wants to be able to, and perhaps is offering. Also looking at doing additional Spanish family literacy classes and continuing with the Corinne family literacy classes. Darcy's report pretty much focused on I Love to Read Month. Maybe a lot of you have either been in some of the buildings and read to students or will be doing so. Jeremy's report, he gave some information on winter data and student assessments and kind of where they're at. Also shared a variety of things regarding technology and what's happening in the building. Mary Kay's report, she shared information about the after-school program and also had some really nice details about some of the student activities that are taking place and different things that middle school students are participating in. Brian's report included a registration update and also pretty important notification for seniors and their parents that scholarship application packets are out now, so everybody can get cranked up on those. Michelle's report also included an update at Maytech and some interesting information, I thought, about textile arts and what's happening in that area relative to Maytech. Harry's report, we're in the midst, or will be in the midst of Marshall Community Services will be having a program and staff review done, I believe, by the Minnesota Community Education Association, where they'll have folks come in and review both the program and meet with staff and give back a report saying here's some things to think about, here's what's good, here's some growth areas. And also he shared information about the transition to the Merit Center for the driver's education program. Amanda's report, a couple things from there. We've got a SIOP pilot. SIOP pilot. Rhyming.
Hello.
There's my literacy piece for the day. Sheltered Instruction Observation Protocol, SIOP, pilot, taking place that she put some information in there about, and also staff participated in an NWEA training on January 18th. We're trying to ramp up our efforts a little bit relative to helping provide that training. Bruce Remy's report, talked about the MHS math team qualifying for the state math tournament coming up here. I want to say it's March 16th, but I might be off on that date a little bit. And then also shared a timeline for the new district football placements for 2017 and 18, which seems like everybody wants to know about. So it was good to get a preview of that. And I'll let Monica and Faduma share their report, and then Bruce.
All right. The middle school had parent-teacher conferences last week, and then the high school has conferences this Thursday. Marshall is holding a junior high speech tournament next week, and the middle school band has a concert next week as well. And Marshall High School has 9th and 10th band and choir concert next week.
Speech won third place out of 40 teams in Prior Lake last Saturday, two Saturdays ago. Girls hockey section lost to Mankato. Girls basketball won against Pipestone. The wrestling team plays sections on February 9th. Boys basketball has a game on Friday, and there's a hockey game tonight at 7 for sections.
Oh, and Food for Kids last week, which was really fun.
93,000 meals today, or packages?
Yeah, that's a
They
lot.
said they're hitting 1 million
Oh, yeah.
next year.
Nice. Thank you.
From my report, just a couple items to share. The Healthy 56258 program, which really is an outgrowth of a group, My Marshall, from probably about 2-3 years ago, who went to, maybe longer than that, went to the Blandon Foundation, and we really finally are making progress. SMSU has agreed to allow location of the Healthy 56258 program there, and also become the fiscal host. Now all we need to find is some money and funds to support so that they can really be truly a fiscal host. So that's the progress there. That's a group that we're working on improving the nutrition, education, and physical health of the community of Marshall. And so you'll be hearing a whole lot more in the upcoming months in regards to Healthy 56258. The ESG Honeywell projects are moving ahead. The energy conservation projects are nearing completion, and there's a lot of planning going on in regards to the dehumidification projects that are going to take place mainly here at the middle school right after school is out. So that's moving along fine. And then the last thing that I want to report or share is that I did attend the SMSU Foundation Scholarship Banquet, and one of our staff members, Mumu Ai, who is a minority advocate, was one of the scholarship presenters, and she did a wonderful job along with all the other students, and it was just a very good event to attend.
And we'll, just on a follow-up to her, we had an alumni board meeting shortly after that luncheon, and I didn't make it to the luncheon, but everyone at the board meeting that was there was talking about her. What an amazing story she had.
Very good. Moving on to our discussion items. Any questions on the facilities referendum update?
A couple things that I'd share, if it's all right. We are starting to do some meetings and presentations now, and certainly anticipate ramping up with those over the course of the next few months. Anyone who wants us to present or share information can contact Tricia or I, and we'll try to get that on the calendar. Small groups, large groups, doesn't matter. We just want to make sure that we share information and make sure that everyone knows what's happening relative to the May 10th building bond referendum. ATS&R continues to do, I think, some really important work in terms of finalizing a lot of the schematics and drawings and whatnot that we're going to need to be able to incorporate into our more specific information to share. We got sort of a preview, Bruce and I did, of that last week, and I know they were going to continue to work on those things this week so we can be able to show people here's what it could look like or what we think it's going to look like should the building bond referendum pass. Starting at this meeting, and it's already happened to some extent, you'll continue, I think, to see periodically legal tasks that you have to take care of at the school board level. I think we've got a really good timeline mapped out and feel confident that we're going to be able to take care of all of the legal requirements involved with the referendum. Tricia has done some really good work on the website section, referendum section, and we've got some pieces in there now that I think will provide information for anyone who wants, and that's sort of a special dedicated section, and we're going to continue to update that as time goes along and make sure that we provide helpful information. And then next week we anticipate a sort of a preliminary informational mailer that will go out to all district residents, and we'll follow that up later on with at least one additional mailing, but just in an effort to make sure everybody knows what's going on. So there's a lot of work happening, and we'll continue to provide updates at every school board meeting. Certainly can answer questions if you have any.
Good. Any questions on the readings of policies 901 through 907? This will be the first reading. Moving on to our action items. Our first action item is approval of the resolution relating to the issuance of school building bonds and calling for an election. I'll make the motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Open for discussion.
Just this is a pretty lengthy resolution, and there are a lot of details in there. But these are all things that are requirements for school districts when they have a referendum or an operating levy referendum. And I think it's important that we get that out there now and do what we need to with it.
And we did receive confirmation this afternoon, Tricia did, on that 2014 date, May of 2014 date. That is correct, per our legal counsel. It's part of the resolution, item 13, right, I think.
Any questions? Please vote. It is passed. Next action item is approval of a recruitment specialist contract. Do we have a motion? I'll make a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
It's open for discussion.
We've asked Tammy Stahl from Southwest West Central Service Co-op just to share some information about the idea, the pilot, the position, and answer any questions that you might have. We'll pull the flyer up for you, which you've seen before. But Tammy, thanks for being here tonight.
Thanks for having me. I remember years ago hiring for elementary positions and being on interview teams and having to go through applications. And that time, about 10 years ago, we'd get 200 applicants for an elementary position. Last year, I was talking with the superintendent in one of our member districts who was struggling to find a kindergarten teacher. And if you know anything about kindergarten, that's supposed to be the easy area to fill. People like those kids. So the teacher shortage crisis, if you will, it's not new. It's been around, but we're, nationally, you look at about 1/2 of all teachers who enter the profession leave within their first 5 years. In Minnesota, that number is about 1/3 of all teachers. So it's really kind of a two-part problem. One is once we get people into the field, they seem to be leaving for some reason. And the other is we're just not getting the number of applicants in that we used to. Minnesota puts out what they call the Teacher Supply and Demand Report. And in 2015, they had that report out. And in that, Minnesota currently has about 3,500 special permissions. So teachers teaching in areas that they weren't trained to teach in. So this problem is really facing us right now in Southwest Minnesota. The Service Co-op is just wanting to start a pilot with some school districts to look at, can we increase the number of applicants that come to our area? And then once we get them here, can we retain them? Are there ways we could partner together to improve that process? And so you have the recruitment brochure in front of you. Some of the unique things that we want to try is we really want to improve our university partnerships and look at, can we take, I was really impressed with your paraprofessionals here. I just must say that we're talking before your board. I turned around and looked at Mary Kay and I go, paras? And she nodded her head and I was like, wow. So taking people like this, and can we get them into a fast track program where they could get a teacher license and partner with the university? And really it's going to take some time to get out there and do this with some of these universities. You think it'd be a quick thing to do, but it isn't. I've been working with the University of South Dakota in Vermillion, South Dakota, and we have a strong partnership with their psychologists right now where we say, send us your interns. We want your best and brightest out here. We want to partner with you. And we've had a lot of success in getting school psychs from that program and getting them to come work in this part of the state. So we want to just beef that up a little bit and go out to, I'm heading to Spearfish next week to talk to the teacher program out there. So South Dakota, Iowa, Wisconsin, North Dakota, can we get out there and just increase these partnerships? That's one of the ideas that we have with this. We have a long list of things that we want to try, and that's why we're calling it a pilot. We don't know now if it's going to work, but we hope. Some of the data we want to measure is, are we getting more people to come to this region? Are we seeing more applicants? And what's the quality of those applicants? And then part 2 is, what's our turnover rate? Are we keeping people once we get here? So we want to see how we compare nationally and to the state. So do you have questions for me? I know you had a chance to look at the brochure.
We still keep the partnerships with, say, SMSU, the local universities as well.
Correct. Yep, and I'm working with SMSU right now on, there's actually a piece of legislation right now that we were a part of helping to develop so that we can get some dollars to partner with SMSU. So absolutely we want to do that, but I think we need to reach out even beyond that. Other questions?
Has there been any research on this study so their recruitment is down so much? Is it the way that I know I had heard they changed their licensing laws from other educated people from other states. Is that part of it, or is it
Minnesota in particular, we'll see that licensing is an issue in the state. So getting the Board of Teaching and the Department of Education to work together on that licensing piece. Personally, I went to school in South Dakota and came here to teach, and I struggled to get my license here for a variety of reasons. And it's not unique to me. Maybe it is. But we see that. We see teachers that are trying to come from other states. They've been teaching for a while, and for whatever reason, it's harder to get a license here in Minnesota. So we're working legislatively with that. I've been out to the Capitol to talk with some legislators about it. But we certainly, if they've been teaching in another state and they're a good teacher, they should be able to come over here and teach for us. So again, there's just a lot of things we can do. It's just a variety of reasons that we're not seeing as many. We are going to high school career fairs right now and talking to kids about teaching and why it's a great thing to be a teacher. So yeah, we feel like if we can get them young and get them into college, that would be great too.
The number of kids in the education programs at the university level, is that now?
It is, yeah. USD, we've been partnering with them for about 7 years now that I've been involved with them. And with school psychs in particular, they used to have about 20 people in a program. Last year when I met with them, they had 10, and that's the bare bones minimum that they needed to keep that program running. So yeah, the numbers are down too. We were able to snag 2 of those 10, which was pretty good success for us. So
I apologize, Tammy, but I got to go.
No problem. Yep.
Sounds like a great program. I hope it works.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is a big part of reasoning that kids aren't going into teaching in colleges, a lot of it because of the pay that they have to start out at?
Well, yeah, I think public perception right now of teachers and teacher pay probably plays into that a little bit.
I also think we've seen a lot of districts in Minnesota the last maybe, I don't know, 7 years. That's probably when I paid the most attention to it. 10 years or whatever that have gone through some budget reductions, and I think there's been some, concern from younger teachers. I was just officiating in a district the other day, and some of the coaches were in the locker room, and 2 of them were brand new teachers, and we're talking about they don't know if they're going to have a job next year. And, those types of things, that word spreads around and they go somewhere else, and it's unfortunate because it's such an important job. And I think there's a variety of reasons, just like Tammy alluded to.
I'm excited about the program.
Good. I am too. I
Talked
think it's
about
going to
that
be
for
a
a
lot
while,
of fun, and I'm hoping what we're setting out to do works. I think it's going to be great.
So have you posted the position already for the
I have. Yep, I posted the position. I think it's been open just a little over a week. I have 3 people who have completed applications now, and I've had a few phone calls in addition.
Did you guys put it on the chamber site?
I think so. I'll check on that. We typically try to, but I'll go back and double check that.
Are there, you don't have to tell me the districts if you don't want, Tammy, but are there other districts who want to be a part of this pilot? Or?
We do. We've had about 7 districts express some interest. That number's dwindled down. I think we'll probably end up with 4 districts plus a service co-op partnership or involvement in it. So I'm going next week to meet with another district school board and talk with them. They're probably in, and then we'll end up with about 4 or 5.
You got 2 great candidates sitting in the locker room.
Yes.
And Tammy, that won't change the participation cost for the district?
No.
If there's one less district than...
No, the service co-op is committed to this to the extent that if we only had Marshall Public Schools, we're moving forward as is. So the cost to the service co-op is on that brochure. So it doesn't matter to us how many we get in. We believe we can't be passive anymore about this, and we need to get somebody in that's really going to hit the ground running and be very aggressive in getting teachers out here.
You got our blessing.
Great. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks, Tammy.
Got it.
Any other comments before we vote? Vote. It's approved. Need approval of our 2017 budget priorities. Motion to approve. Second. It's open for discussion.
Just to kind of wrap up what took place at the February 1st school board meeting, there were all of these potential priorities or focus areas were listed, and there was some conversation, as you know, about them. They are all beneficial. They would all be beneficial, I believe, for students, staff, parents, our community, everyone in our school district. We know that it's a challenge to, from a resource perspective, and I think just seeing sort of the board's take on the highest priorities being EL programming, career and technical education, attracting quality staff, which I think you just took action to help on, focusing on our minority advocates and family engagement and curriculum. Everything else on here, like I said, is important. We will still have some dedicated funding. Bruce can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the long-term facilities maintenance revenue will increase a little bit, and that should allow us to do some things from a facilities perspective, regardless of the outcome of the building bond referendum. But certainly after May 10th, we're going to have a better idea of what our facilities priorities and or needs and directions are going to be, and they will continue to be a focus for us regardless of these priorities and or what happens with the building bond referendum. These priorities will now be used as part of our budget matrix that we're working on and we've had for a few years. So I think that's where we're at.
Did you throw this out to teachers and staff?
I believe we did, didn't we, Tricia? And I just haven't had a chance to look at the results yet. So.
I think it's a good process. Any other comments? We run out of people here to my left. All right, vote. Approved. Approval of our Community Service Advisory Board members. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
And I'll second. It's open for discussion.
I'm kind of excited to see a student on there. I think that's wonderful. Joel will do a great job.
I'm sure they'll do great. They have a mix.
Oh, absolutely.
Any other conversation? If not, we'll vote. It is approved. Approval of our 2015-16 seniority list. Motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Open for discussion. It's one of those things you got to turn in every year to the state. This list look different than the list in prior years. Format or no? Okay, it just looked different. Same people are on it though. So. All right, we'll vote. It is approved. Designation of the Marshall Senior High School League member school representatives. Right.
Florida, yeah.
All right. Do we have a motion? Kurt, you want to make a motion?
So moved.
And Dion, you want to second that? All right, thank you. It's open for discussion. Hearing none, please vote. It is approved. This is approval of our non-renewed teaching staff. Do we have a motion? So moved. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Open for discussion.
Just these are never easy things to do, and the majority of them, all staff on here have been notified by their building administrator previously. We asked that happen, I believe, during the week of February 1st, something like that. Primarily these are for limited or variance licenses for situations like that. Sometimes community expert. When somebody has, for example, a licensure variance, we have to open up the position, and this is a required step in that process. So primarily, that's what all of these are for, and it's just something we have to do each year, even though we don't necessarily want to.
All right. Call for vote. Is approved. Anything else for the good of the cause? It's over. Thank you.